Welcome to MSG PM, presented for the people by Caesars Sportsbook. Your app is ready, Emperor. My name is Kazim Famuide, and right now you are checking out our early season dub of the New York Knicks over the Atlanta Hawks. The left-hand bandits, Julius Randle and RJ Barrett, balled out this game, so we're going to get into that, talk about their dynamic duo, some Knicks futures to toy with a little bit. But before we do anything, got to bring in the man with the numbers, the one and only Jeff Eisenband. Jeff, this is the third season we got the offhand bandits, Julius Randle and RJ Barrett, cooking for the New York Knicks. What can you expect for that duo in season 3?
Well, first of all, Kaz, I've been telling you, that team from Atlanta, they're the team that will not be named, okay? We don't have to say their name out here. I know you were hesitant there for a second.
It still hurts. I think they continue. It still hurts.
I think they continue to improve. I think that last year they had to be that incredible duo. I think with Kemba Walker, with Evan Fournier, with now Derrick Rose for a full season, you know, it's not to say that we don't want them to shine together like that, but they got help here, right? It's not going to feel like they're out there on an island some games where you're looking at the Knicks and you're thinking someone else has to figure out how to score other than these two guys. So I think they're able to adjust and play a little bit more freely. You know, we've talked about ironic based on their size, but I want to see RJ Barrett more on the outside. He's going to improve that jump shooting. I think that's important. And I think Julius Randle, when he plays that point forward, that's when he's at his best. He doesn't have to do it every possession, but if you can mix and match him, Kemba, and Derrick Rose handling the basketball, the Knicks could be awesome to watch next year.
When your two best players are shooting over 40% from three, you got a good thing going over there. So let's talk about some of these off-season additions that will hope to help these guys shoot even better. Obviously, the BX comes home with Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier as well from the Boston Celtics, and the rookies, Quentin Grimes, Miles McBride, Jericho Sims. Lots of new faces joining the New York Knicks. Out of these 5 players, which one do you think will make the most impact on game 1?
Wow. First of all, I'm thinking about Kemba on the streets of New York as a kid. Nothing but air every shot, right? No nets on some of those rims, but Kemba just stroking it through pretty easily. You know, I think Kemba's probably the one that I expect to come in and make an impact on day 1, like you talked about, because he's a guy who's been there before, done so much, and he's going to be, you know, it's just going to be an extra bolt of lightning into the Knicks lineup to see Kemba Walker on that first possession, having a point guard who's able to penetrate the way that Kemba Walker can, especially when healthy. But those other two guys, you know, I think Evan Fournier ultimately could be the guy that has the biggest effect on these Knicks this season. You saw it in the Olympics. When Evan Fournier is hot, he can be the leading scorer in a basketball team for your team. He can be your star. And I think that anyone who was skeptical of that Evan Fournier contract, seeing what he was able to do, especially against the United States in the Olympics, changed a lot of people's mind. And then Quentin Grimes, I think we can keep talking about this, but the shooting and the abilities, he is going to do more than I think a lot of Knicks fans thought on draft day for this team, especially from the outside.
You know, Jeff, as a Knicks fan, as somebody who hosts on MSG PM, I was begging somebody, create your own shot throughout this entire postseason, and the Knicks look like they answered those questions pretty loudly this offseason, and hopefully it leads to some more wins. So let's talk about these over-unders on Knicks win totals, courtesy of Caesars Sportsbook, presented for the people. They are looking at a 41.5 over-under with the Knicks this season. Jeff, you're shaking your head a little bit. What are you seeing there? What's your thoughts?
I mean, we can do math, right? There are 82 games in a year. This is saying, will the Knicks finish above 500 or 500? And I mean, if you watch the Knicks last year and you watch the improvements that they made in the offseason, I don't see how you can look under this number at 41.5. The Knicks are going to be there. They're going to be a playoff team this year, and it just doesn't make any sense. And how about this? This is the number that really jumps out at me, Kaz. Tom Thibodeau has had 8 full seasons under his belt as a head coach. He has gone over 500 in 7 of those. So we're talking about a guy that just 1 full year in Minnesota, he was under 500, and all of those other years, he's been able to coach a team over 500. So this seems like an over.
Jeff, don't know about you, but that seems like a pretty safe bet to me. But let's hit the rest of the league. Producers, you know what time it is. Full screen me real quick, and let's talk about these NBA win totals. The Brooklyn Nets lead the league with 54.5. The Milwaukee Bucks not behind them. The Los Angeles Lakers fully retooled and restocked. The Golden State Warriors seem like they will be back, as well as the Miami Heat and the team that shall not be named on this network with 46.5 win totals. Jeff, which bet sticks out the best to you?
At least for now, right? When Atlanta needs a win late in the season, we'll change our minds. But when that'll help the Knicks. But for right now, I'm looking at this and the team above them, the Miami Heat. That's a Miami Heat team that made the NBA Finals 2 years ago. Big offseason acquisition in Kyle Lowry. And I just feel like, you look up and down that roster, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, they're too good to not win over 47.5 games in my mind. I think they're still in that potential to make the NBA Finals, situation. And I just think that it had a little bit of an off year, had some injuries. There were a couple things that didn't go their way, and you started to see at the end of the season. At the end of the regular season, they got really hot, and they became a scary team. I think the Miami Heat go over 47.5.
Jeff, if there's anything I learned from these past 2 seasons is that the NBA is a war of attrition, and it seems like the healthiest team usually wins out at the end. So we got a couple more underdogs that we want to see. So, producers, it's time to full screen me real quick and hit me with some underdogs. The Philadelphia 76ers, 51.5 wins. The Utah Jazz share the same odds. The Western Conference champion Phoenix Suns with 50.5. The Denver Nuggets with 47.5. The Portland Trail Blazers with 43.5. And the New Orleans Pelicans with 40.5. Jeff, out of these names, there's a lot of interesting teams here who've made a lot of interesting moves over the offseason. Which sticks out the most?
Well, I'll start with the team that I think is going to go over their win total here, and that's the Denver Nuggets at 47.5. This is a team that, take away last year, no Jamal Murray. We were not looking at a full strength Nuggets squad in the playoffs. And I think that seems to me what's influencing that 47.5 total, because this was a great regular season team in the 2 years before that. Michael Porter Jr. continues to improve. You're going to get Jamal Murray back at some point this year, along with the MVP Nikola Jokic. So to me, I think they go over there. And I'm going to be consistent with what I've been saying. The Portland Trail Blazers are not going to be the Portland Trail Blazers that we've seen the last couple of years. They lost Carmelo Anthony, but that's not the reason why. We don't know if Damian Lillard's going to spend going to be there opening night in Portland, halfway through the year in Portland. So there's a lot of questions there with the Portland Trail Blazers, and I just think they're trending in the opposite direction.
You know what, Jeff? I'm about to say something I hope to say a lot more this season. We're going to go back to watching the New York Knicks beat up on the Atlanta Hawks right after this. Jeff Eisenband, the man with the numbers, your boy Kazim Famuide. This has been MSG. This has been MSG PM, presented for the people by Caesars Sportsbooks. We'll catch you later, people.